There are political shockwaves in Tamil Nadu after Governor Ravi dismissed a sitting minister in the DMK government, Senthil Balaji. Mr. Senthil Balaji would be perhaps recognizable to some of you from these visuals. He was arrested a few days ago when he suffered a cardiac event and then was taken to hospital. He is currently in judicial custody. The Enforcement Directorate is probing his alleged role in a cash for job scam when he was transport minister in the state between 2011 and 2016. The latest probes against him are already a political flashpoint between the ruling DMK and the BJP in the state. But the governor wading into this means all bets are off. This is no longer a political fight alone over corruption allegations, but now a question of what the governor's powers are as per the Indian Constitution. So here's what's happened today. Governor Ravi issued a letter saying that Senthil Balaji has been accused of serious corruption charges. There are more ongoing investigations against him in other cases by the state police. And in these circumstances, the minister could interfere in investigations. Hence, is being dismissed with immediate effect from his position as minister. The DMK has responded by saying that the governor has no right to dismiss a minister without conferring with the chief minister of a democratically elected state government. Tamil Nadu CM M.K. Stalin says he will face the challenge legally.
அவருக்கு அந்த அதிகாரம் கிடையாது. நான் சட்ட ரீதியாக நாங்கள் சந்திப்போம்.
The governor is the constitutional head of the state. He has got every right to dismiss because he appoints the ministers. Mr. Senthil Balaji was appointed by the governor and he is dismissed. He has given the reasons as to why he was dismissed. In spite of the Supreme Court's order, judgment, the government has not constituted the team, special investigation team, which was ordered by the Supreme Court. And definitely the governor, morally, legally, has taken a right decision and he has dismissed Mr. Senthil Balaji. Mr. Stalin says that he will go to the court. Yes, we have the right to go to court. No problem. Please go.
All right, so that was the chief minister speaking, and then the BJP spokesperson also saying that it is a right under the Constitution. So let's take a look at what is in the Constitution, because that's the question now, and whether there is any precedence. Has this happened before? So there is no precedence of a governor, which is a nominated position by the central government, of sacking an elected minister so far. The closest anyone has come to this is Governor Arif Mohammad Khan in Kerala, who tweeted out in October of 2022 that he would sack ministers who disrespected his office. But this was a threat that was not carried out. The question is, does the Constitution allow a governor to sack a minister? Here's what it says. Article 163(1) says the Council of Ministers and the Chief Minister will be aiding and advising the governor in exercise of functions. As per Article 163(1), this allows exceptions when the governor has to use their discretion to discharge functions. Article 163(2) says decision of governor in his discretion shall be final. So there is the scope of using your own discretion, and that discretion is final. Now, validity of the governor's decision shall not be called into question. This is once again as per Article 163(2) of the Constitution. Article 164(1) says the chief minister shall be appointed by the governor, and it also says that other ministers shall be appointed by the governor on advice of the chief minister. Article 164(1) goes on to say ministers shall hold office during the pleasure of the governor. But does this mean that the governor can supersede the chief minister and decide on their own whether to dismiss someone or keep someone? Clearly, this will go into the courts of law. There's no question about it. But to get more insight on it right now, as the story is breaking and developing, I'm joined by S.G. Surya, State Secretary of the Tamil Nadu BJP, S.S. Sriram, political analyst, with me on the show. I'm speaking with Salem Dharanidharan, spokesperson of the DMK, and Dr. P. Pularao, political analyst. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us today. Mr. Salem, let me begin with you. The governor, some would say, technically has the right to exercise his discretion. Is that what has been done?
You know, the various constitutional benches in the 1960s have made it profoundly very clear that governor's job is nothing but of a rubber stamp. From 70s until as recent as Perere Valan, the word Supreme Court verdict has been that governor is nothing but shorthand expression of the State Council of Ministers. As per Article 164.1, the state ministers are appointed by the governor, and it is as per the governor's pleasure. But where does the governor derive his pleasure? He derives his pleasure from the elected MLAs. As long as the Tamil Nadu DMK government has the majority in the house, the pleasure remains. He cannot arbitrarily act as per his whims and fancies. If that is the case, then why do you need a democratic elections? It's not a democratic country, right? If governor can arbitrarily appoint someone as a minister, remove someone as a minister, then why have elections? Then why people elect MLAs, and why MLAs in turn elect CM, and why the chief minister in turn appoints a state council of ministers?
No, but okay, 1 minute.
Everything could be done by this minister.
Just a quick follow-up, Mr. Salem, before I go to the BJP and pose this question to them. The governor, in his letter, and we'll just pull up the details of that, says that this particular minister is being probed for very serious charges. His position as minister will compromise the probe. Is that not grounds enough for the governor to act, whose duty it is also to uphold the constitution?
See, I think, I'm not sure of the year, 2011 to 13, Honorable now Prime Minister, then Chief Minister of Gujarat, was probed for murder, and the present Home Minister, then Home Minister of Gujarat, was probed for murder. Right? They were eventually acquitted. If the governor had then removed, will the BJP kept quiet? Of course, the court will decide if Senthil Balaji has actually made the crime or not. Is governor above the court? So this makes me think that the governor himself has decided that Senthil Balaji is a convict, right? So who is governor to decide? He is not the court. There is a judicial system in this country. See, let's say hypothetically, if Senthil Balaji at a later date is being convicted by court for more than 2 years, then naturally he will cease to be a minister and he cannot hold any office. But right now, we have to give him benefit of doubt because the matter is sub judice.
Okay, SG Surya,
right?
under the law, you are innocent
politics.
until proven guilty. You are innocent until proven guilty. If governors start deciding who gets sacked and who gets appointed, then why do you need a democratically elected government? Let the governor decide everything. Why should the chief minister do anything? The DMK today says this is a constitutional crisis. This has gone far beyond the realms of politics in Tamil Nadu alone.
See, first of all, Prime Minister Modi was not probed for any murder. So the DMK spokesperson should get his facts right before bluffing in the national television. Coming to the case, BJP is not the spokesperson for the governor. But I would like to reiterate and read a judgment of the Punjab High Court, which was, accepted by the Supreme Court in the case of Tara versus Directors Consolidation of Holdings Punjab. In the case of Mr. Karnanathy versus Union of India, the judgment says that it concurs with the High Court order. And the High Court order reads as it is. The governor is the executive head of the state. And this position he does not share with the chief minister or any other minister. He appoints a minister, albeit on the advice of the chief minister, and the minister holds office during his pleasure. Therefore, it is open to the governor under the constitution to dismiss an individual minister at his pleasure. In these circumstances, there can be no doubt that the minister is to be considered as an officer subordinate to the governor. The Supreme Court says, I read, we find ourselves in complete agreement with the view taken and reasons given by the Punjab High Court in the aforesaid case. So if the DMK has problems, let them go to the courts and fight. But to my view, the governor would not have taken without any...
1 minute. They will go to the court. They will go to the court, and you are absolutely right in saying that the BJP does not represent the governor officially. Yet, yes, you are today on this panel defending the governor's decision. So I'm going to just take a second to explain to our viewers, because that's what this program, intends to do. What are the lines, the news between the headlines? So the reason that the BJP is defending the governor today and the DMK is attacking the governor today is because the DMK is claiming that the governor is acting at the pleasure of his political masters. They are alluding to the BJP. Why are they doing that? Because the governor in the state is appointed by the president, who is a nominee of whoever is running the central government. In this case, that's the BJP. So that is the linkage. Why today BJP on this panel and everywhere you will see as defending the governor's actions. Now, Mr. Surya, I just want to come to exactly what you read in that statement. And of course, we'll need to get a lawyer in to understand the context of what that order was. Is it relevant here? This will go to court. But in that statement, it says that the governor decides on the ministers, albeit with concurrence of the chief minister.
No. So
there is no question. There is no question that the chief minister of a democratically elected government, you have to at least tell him, I want to do this.
No. I agree to that, but whatever.
Can the chief minister be kept in the dark?
But I will add one thing. If you read the statement of the governor, it says there could be a possibility of the breakdown of the constitutional machinery. So when we talk about breakdown of constitutional machinery, what does it mean? It means breakdown of law and order. When the income tax officers came to raid the residence of the minister, the officers were heckled, the women officers were molested, the officers had to run away and get shelter in the police station. This is not the breakdown of law and order in the state. There have been murders every day. There have been, hooligans of the DMK party going all around
statement.
doing all
1
this
minute.
nonsense.
I'm going to read out. I'm going to read out that statement.
Law and order in the
I'm
state.
going to read out that full statement. And
Yes,
just
please.
a reminder to our viewers, we have a constitutional expert, Mr. PDT Achari, joining us in just a couple of minutes, who will shed light on this. But I want to just quickly read the actual press release from the governor, which says, Minister V Senthil Balaji is facing serious criminal proceedings in a number of cases of corruption, including taking cash for jobs and money laundering. Abusing his position as a minister, he has been influencing the investigation and obstructing the due process of law and justice. Currently, he is in judicial custody in a criminal case being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate. Some more criminal cases against him under Prevention of Corruption Act and the Indian Penal Code are being investigated by the state police. There are reasonable apprehensions that continuation of Thiru V Senthil Balaji in the Council of Ministers will adversely impact the due process of law, including fair investigation, that may eventually lead to breakdown of the constitutional machinery in the state. Under these circumstances, the Honorable Governor has dismissed him. He's not saying there is a breakdown of the constitutional machinery in the state, Mr. Surya. He's saying he fears there may be an eventual breakdown in the constitutional machinery of the state. Is there proof that this minister has abused his position to influence the investigation and obstructing the due process of law and justice? If this goes to court, will the governor have to show the reasons and basis of his decision? PDT Achari with me. Sir, thank you so much for joining us this evening on Beyond the Headline. I want to understand your take on what's happened. First of all, when we're reporting on this and we call it unprecedented, saying this has never happened before, where a governor has sacked a minister without the knowledge and acknowledgement of an elected chief minister, would that be correct, or is there precedence for this?
No, there is no, as far as I remember, there is no precedent. The point is that a minister is appointed by the governor on the recommendation of the chief minister. It is actually the discretion of the chief minister as to who should be, which minister should be in his cabinet and which minister should not be in his cabinet. If he thinks that a minister need not be or should not be in his cabinet, then he can recommend to the governor, and the governor will withdraw his pleasure. So withdrawal of pleasure is the technical term which has been transported from 1935 Government of India Act. But there in 1935 Government of India Act things were different. But here under the Indian Constitution, where the executive power is vested in the, although under the if you go by the wording, if you take it literally, the executive power is vested in the governor, which of course he has to exercise only on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Dr. Ambedkar had made it very clear in the Constituent Assembly that there is no function which the governor will perform independently. And then all the Supreme Court judgments by the constitutional benches have made it very clear that the governor cannot act independently in these matters, and governor can act only on the aided advice of the Council of Ministers. So far as Article 164 is concerned, under which the Chief Minister is appointed and other ministers. So far as the appointment of the Chief Minister is concerned, certainly the governor has the discretion. But so far as other ministers are concerned, the governor can act only on the recommendation of the Chief Minister. Suppose the government loses its majority in the House, then the government doesn't quit. In that case, the governor can dismiss the whole government. That also the governor can do. But so far as dismissing an individual minister without the recommendation of the Chief Minister, that is unprecedented, and that in my view is against Article 164. Because the governor does not have that independence. If the governor is given that power, then no government will be safe. The governor will act, a governor. I'm not saying that, I'm not talking about the present governor of Tamil Nadu, but I'm saying that any governor can dismiss any minister in a government and putting the whole government in jeopardy. Therefore, that is not what the Constitution has intended, and that is not what the Constitution, that is not the power which has been given to the governor. Therefore, things are very clear. The governor does not have that power to dismiss an individual minister without the recommendation of the Chief Minister.
What about, sir, the point where the governor can exercise discretion? Now, this part of Article 164, which allows discretion, crops up again and again in various circumstances in the recent past, whether it is appointing or dismissing vice chancellors, for example. Sometimes entire governments are dismissed if there is a constitutional breakdown or the state machinery is not functioning. And then what is evoked is the discretion of the governor that the Constitution allows. Can you clarify on that? Is the action we've seen today in the realm of that discretion?
No, so far as the discretion is concerned, as I mentioned in my earlier statement, that the governor can exercise his discretion while appointing the Chief Minister. He is not guided by any advice from anybody in that matter. He can appoint a person as Chief Minister as per his discretion. But so far as appointment of ministers are concerned, he doesn't have any discretion in that. He has to go by the recommendation of the Chief Minister. Well, the Constitution gives certain discretionary areas for the governor to exercise his discretionary powers, but those have been very clearly spelled out in the Constitution. For example, so far as the northeastern areas are concerned, the governor has a certain power which he can exercise without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. These are some of the areas. Now, another area where he can exercise his discretion is when there is a breakdown in the constitutional machinery in the state, the governor can make a report to the central government, to the president, saying that there is a breakdown of the constitutional machinery in a state. There, of course, he doesn't have to go by the advice of the Council of Ministers. He can make a recommendation for the president's rule. These are the areas where the governor can exercise his discretion, not in this particular area. There, the point is that the Chief Minister's discretion in appointing or in getting a minister appointed or removing a minister has not been transferred to the governor. Article 164 doesn't do that. That is the point.
In your view, Mr. Chari, will this pass the muster of law? Will this stand to scrutiny in court? Because this is going to court for sure.
Well, it may not. Well, that's a matter to be decided by the court. If there is no dismissal as per the Constitution, then there is no dismissal. That dismissal is not legally sustainable. then the court can strike down that dismissal. That is for the court to decide.
Yeah. In the larger context, does this now bring a question on the role of the governor? Because here, some of the political accusations is that the governor is acting in a politically partisan manner on behest of political reasons. Does this bring a cloud to the role of the governor?
Well, you know, I do not comment on the political issues or the political aspects of the matter. I confine myself to the constitutional issues, legal issues. So I will not go into that aspect, whether the governors are doing it under political compulsion and all that. I will not make any comment on that.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much, PDT Achari, for speaking with us. One of the foremost constitutional experts, just giving his view on what the Constitution allows and does not allow any governor to actually do. And that really is the question which will finally go to court. But S.S. Sriram, the point of this being a dangerous precedent, because what happens today in Tamil Nadu is not only about Tamil Nadu. Like I said in the beginning of this show, this sets precedent. It's never happened before. Tomorrow tables could be turned politically. Do we want a situation where nominated governors are deciding what happens in elected governments?
Good evening, Tamanna. I have 3 points to make. First of all, the lawmakers should also face the law if they are on the wrong. And when they try to evade, facing law, one has to answer that question as well. A normal government employee, if he is suspended for 48 hours and beyond, he stands suspended automatically. Why would a minister who is also a government employee shouldn't be dropped automatically if he is being arrested for whatever charges that it can be? Whether it is to be proved or not is a question that one has to debate. But the fact of the matter is that if he is arrested beyond 48 hours, why doesn't that lawmaker also automatically be dropped? Why would a government push a governor to take such a harsh step? It's not that the governor would have taken the step without, by whims and fancies. I'm sure he would have consulted the legal experts. I'm sure he would have consulted the people who are experts in constitution. As you rightly pointed out, Article 163, Clause 2 clearly states, if any question arises whether any matter is or is not a matter as respects which the governor is by or under the Constitution required to act in his discretion, the decision of the governor in his discretion shall be final, and the validity of anything done by the governor shall not be called in question on the ground that
you know that the governor does not have a carte blanche. The Constitution does not give the governor a carte blanche. You know this very well, sir.
But why would this clause be mentioned if he doesn't have the power?
But that's what I asked Mr. PDT Achari. Now, you heard his comments. He said the scope of discretion is very well laid down in the Constitution and in subsequent canons of law through years of cases, etc. So it's fairly clear.
No, it's not that the governor is exercising just because he didn't like a minister and he is dropping him, just because he doesn't want to see this gentleman as a minister. Here is a minister who's been arrested, who's been arrested for corruption charges, for some other criminal cases. And if you still want to retain him as a minister without portfolio, as a governor, where the cabinet enjoys on his pleasure, you might not want to retain him as a minister. I think this is a right step in the right direction for way forward to whichever gentleman who's in question, no matter whichever party is. I mean, they can't, get an immunity and not face the law when they are wrong.
Isn't that the job of a judge? I'm seriously, because this story today is important not because it's about one state, one party, one minister. It's about what the Constitution of this country says and how it's implemented. I want to bring in Dr. Pulla Rao. Thank you for your patience, sir. Now, Mr. Sriram says that he's very happy with what the governor has done, because if there is a corrupt minister, he should not enjoy with impunity the perks of power. Does the governor have a role of playing that check and balance?
Okay, I think
what he's describing is a constitutional check and balance. Is that the governor's job?
This governor has no role. The governor has no moral role. The governor has only a constitutional role. We just heard Sri PDT Achari give all the powers and other things. But I want to add and draw your memory to something very recent. A Delhi minister, Satyendra Jain, was arrested and he spent 12 months, I think, as a minister in jail. Why did the lieutenant governor not dismiss him? Then go back a year, go to Anil Deshmukh, Home Minister of Maharashtra, and Nawab Malik, another minister. They spent 1 year in jail. They were not dismissed till the government fell. Why did the governor not dismiss them? 1 year. What was the hurry for the governor to rush here to show his powers when that man is undergoing surgery? Let's be clear one thing. The governor, as Mr. Achari has said, can appoint the chief minister. He cannot appoint the ministers. He just has to okay the list. So neither can he drop them. Neither has the minister been convicted. Neither the minister is only ED or CBI custody for questioning. Nothing more. To be so hasty, the governor obviously would have consulted some legal experts who will have given him saying you have discretion, he is morally not correct. But I think the governor is gaming the system. Gaming the system in the sense he knows they'll go to court. The court may not give a stay. The court may postpone it for 3 months. So his purpose is served. He has taken advantage of a lacuna in the law because the time may go on proceeding for 3 months, 6 months. The case may not be heard. Then his purpose is served. Now this will set a very bad precedent. And the only thing that comes to my mind, has he consulted the Home Ministry? Has he consulted the Law Ministry of India? Has he just consulted local lawyers? You see, lawyers can give an opinion. That's not a judgment. That's not a court decision. So I feel very unhappy for the simple reason that our constitution gives governors powers, but the constitution does not want governors to become news. They're becoming news. Just last month, if I remember correctly, the Supreme Court had to nearly reprimand this particular governor and the governor of Telangana that you're holding back files for no reason. And that morning they were going to give orders. They rushed the files through.
Okay, no, that's the big picture. That's the big picture. No, that's the big picture. And, one can argue why are governors becoming sort of key characters or key people in a political war? They shouldn't be. Were they before or were they not before in previous governments and regimes? All of that is very important. But as of today, a new threshold has been crossed. SG Surya, I want to come back to you because you've listened to some of the commentary from PDT Achari, you've listened to the commentary from other guests.
Yeah. See, the point is, we should also talk about the impending. The point is, we should also talk about the impending investigation that has been given not by the Supreme Court. See, the Supreme Court said both the Enforcement Directorate and the Tamil Nadu Police should complete the investigation and submit within 2 months. Otherwise, the Supreme Court has said we will be forced to constitute a special investigation team. The Enforcement Directorate.
But what does that have to do with dismissal, sir? What does that have to do with dismissal? What is the connection with dismissal?
Please listen to me. The state government and the state police that is supposed to investigate the case and submit the report to the Supreme Court within 2 months. 45 days have passed and there has not been an investigation that has started. That is why probably there could be a breakdown of constitutional machinery, because in spite of the Supreme Court telling the state police to investigate the matter and submit a report within 2 months, the officer has not been assigned, the officer has not been taken charge. Then what is happening? Does the government and the state police
isn't that for the Supreme Court? No, 1 minute, sir. With all due respect, we seem to be conflating a lot of issues. So the Supreme Court,
only one issue.
Sir, 1 minute. The Supreme Court, the Supreme Court is seized with what is happening in the investigation of Mr. Senthil Balaji.
Yes.
Right? They have given 2 months. 45 days have passed. If whoever they have directed does not come back to them in the time limit, it is the discretion of the Supreme Court to either give them an extension, pull them up, put in their own investigation, whatever they want to do. I'm still not clear how the governor gets up one day and decides 15 days before that time limit is up, please hear me out, that something very bad is going to happen and there is going to be a breakdown in constitutional machinery. There is going to be interference in this probe from this person who is in judicial custody. How does he know and what is the basis of such a big decision? Is there any clarity on that today?
Yes. The Supreme Courts have repeatedly stated and I quote verbatim from one of the orders, governor is charged with the duty to preserve, protect, and defend the constitution and the laws, has a concomitant duty and obligation to preserve democracy. To preserve democracy, I think they should be taken charge with. When the ED comes to investigation, you send away the officers. You are, whiling away the officers. You are molesting the women officers, and the state police has not even started it.
I want Salem to respond.
Then do you think you're above
Does
everything?
the governor have this role of preserver of democracy, where they decide that what is happening is not right? I'm going to step in. Yes, Salem, please.
See, I think S.G. Surya is not making any sense. The governor is the first person who's acting authoritarian. He's going against the will of the elected people. What is the role of legislation? To pass bills. He sends bills, he doesn't sign. So this governor is not acting as a governor, but rather he's acting as a petty politician, a third-rated politician. He clearly knows, I think if he can read, like if he can comprehend and read the constitution, he clearly knows that this case will not last for about more than a month in the court, in the constitutional bench, because the court will immediately say, boss, governor, you are nothing but a rubber stamp. You are shorthand expression of the State Council of Ministers, right? This is what the court is going to say. But still he wants to do it. You know why? Because he is a petty politician. Secondly, we follow the system. The position of the governor and the president is equal. Have they ever dismissed the minister, or have they ever kind of vetoed a bill or kept a bill in abeyance? Never.
Can I ask the DMK spokesperson a question? I understand your angst that how did the governor supersede your chief minister and dismiss a minister? But can you answer this? That why has the government not sacked this guy already? Why did it have to come to this?
Fine.
You should have sacked him.
So
why the allegations today? May I please ask the question? Why the allegations today that your government is actively stopping the investigation from going forward? Mr. Salem, can you answer that?
Why is Himanta Biswa Sarma not sacked? He's the chief minister.
Why don't you talk about yourself? Today is Tamil Nadu, not another state. Yes.
Nobody is in judicial custody.
No. 1 minute. Mr. Surya, let me do the questioning. Yes.
It's very clear. Already Mr. Rao clearly said when in Delhi, the minister was in jail for about 12.
I'm not asking for a what about them and what about them answer, sir. Please. What are you doing?
Okay, let me speak. I'm asking, first of all, the court will decide whether it's made a crime or not. ED as an organization does not have any legitimacy. The cases under ED have risen by about 10 times, from 300 to 5,000.
Are you saying he's innocent? Are you standing by his innocence today?
Autonomous organization. It is wing
Are
of
you
a BJP.
standing by his innocence
It's a wing
today?
of a BJP party.
Are you standing by his innocence today?
Court will decide.
Are you standing by Mr. Senthil Balaji's innocence today? Are you ready to give him a clean chit?
See, the matter is sub judice. I cannot answer on a matter that is sub judice. But what I can say, ED's conviction rate is 0.05%. It is used only to harass opposition parties. One TMC minister or union minister, early ex-union minister, was investigated by ED, sent to prison. He joins BJP, then he's acquitted. Then again he joins TMC, ED will start the raid. What is this? This is Banana Republic. You are in BJP, one rule. You are in Congress, there is one rule. You are in opposition, there is one rule. It makes me laugh.
Well, whether Mr. Balaji is corrupt or not, all right, I'll have to wrap it here. I'm out of time. But whether Mr. Balaji is corrupt or not, a court of law will decide. Whether Governor Ravi has the right to dismiss him, the law will decide. No doubt, though, a Rubicon has been crossed today. One level has been crossed today on what the governor can and cannot do. So the decision on this particular action will be very, very important as a precedent. Thank you to all of you for joining us on the show this evening.